works is I just ask you a couple health questions and a couple financial questions. Then I can tell you how you qualify for one of these state regulated programs, okay? And they say, okay. So the first thing I start out with is I go, well, before any of that, I need to know why you filled out the form. Then I do that same 3-question thing, because most people only fill it out because they either don't have anything, they have something, or they have something, but they're not sure about it. So which one are you? And then I get them to say something like one of those 3, and I say, okay, cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into these health questions and these financial questions, and then I can qualify you and figure out a little bit more about your situation. And then I kind of go over and I pull out this thing, and I just start right away. I put my name on it, and then I write down the client's name, and I say, okay, your name's Cindy. How do you spell that? With like a S or a C? You know, like I just kind of like play her, even if it's a stupid name, I'm like, I get them wrong every time, so I can't rely on myself. And then I ask their age, and something important is also ask their date of birth. So the reason for that is if you're using the Senior Select Quota app, you can't go off of age. So I ask for the date of birth too. And then I'm like, okay, so if their husband's around, I get them to put their husband's name and everything too. And I say, okay, so what's like a good ballpark of your monthly income? And then, you know, $900 is fine. And I go, okay, now you already said, no matter what they say, whether they have life insurance or not, say you already said you had about like $5,000 in life insurance. Do you have anything else that might act like life insurance? And by that I mean any savings or any stocks or CDs or investments. Even if I'm in a trailer, I'm like, y'all secretly rich and hiding it from me, or you know, stuff like that. And then, you know, it's always, for those, it's mostly no. And then I got all that, and then I'll be like, okay, so I'm gonna kind of jump into these health questions really quick. And this is important because once you kind of know where you're at when it comes to people's health and what you need to know about their health, then instead of asking about like heart conditions, because on this sheet that you can see it says heart conditions, and you could be like, okay, have you had any stents put in, or are you taking any medications other than for high blood pressure or anything like that? So I'm gonna go through all this. I say, okay, have you had any heart attacks or strokes in the past 2 years? And you know, they say no. Any cancers ever is what I like to ask. And if they say they have a cancer, I ask how long ago and if they've had it more than once. So I get past that, and then I say, okay, now any heart conditions? Have you had any pacemakers put in? Any stents put in? You know, any defibrillators, anything like that? And then instead of, I feel like the HIV and AIDS thing, I feel like when you ask that one, that's almost like offensive sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I just ask them, do you have any autoimmune issues? Because that's an autoimmune disease, and if they're like, I don't know what that means, I'm like, that's a good thing, and then I cross it off. And then I keep going, and I say, now do you have any respiratory issues? And that means COPD, chronic bronchitis, you know, chronic lung disease, anything going on with your pulmonary system? And they say no, and then I ask, are you a diabetic? And if they say yes, I can say, okay, now do you have any complications? Do you have like retinopathy, neuropathy, you know, anything crazy with that, or are you good? You just take gabapentin or, you know, whatever. And then I go, okay, now have you had any like anything crazy go on with your organs, any transplants? And they say no. I say, okay, now have you had any liver issues, kidney issues, any kidney disease or hepatitis? And they say no. And I always, no matter how old they are, I'll be like, okay, now you're way too young for Alzheimer's or dementia, you know? And then I ask if they're a smoker or not. And then after that, I kind of be like, okay, cool. So you're not in bad shape compared to a lot of the people that I meet with. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of flip over the sheet, and I'm just gonna tell you how these state regulated programs work. And do you want me to go through that too?